This is complete overkill in my hand right here. This is the FiiO X7. Now, you know what? If you're someone who really cares about audio, it's not overkill. It's just a lot of power in your hands. This is a digital audio player. It's Android-based. And on the bottom here, that is an amp. So you can swap out the amp to get exactly what you want depending on the different headphones. You can have anything, even balanced. This one's just like a lower power one right here for like, you know, up to around 250 ohm headphones, but you can do anything. First off, let's just go through the specs and then we'll talk about the software that's on here because it's Android, but they've got their own music player that's pretty cool. And then you guys are not going to believe what's on the inside here. So first off, it's 130 millimeters tall by 16.6 millimeters. So it's pretty thick. And then it's 64 millimeters across the bottom. Really good shape for your hands. I mean, it's perfect shape so you can hold it in your hand. And one thing that's brilliant here is they've actually created an ambidextrous device that's easy to use if you're right or left-handed. As you can see here, the buttons on this side, that's power, volume up and down or whatever. And over here we've got the track selector with the play button. Well, in the software you can go and remap these to whatever you like. So if you want the volume and the power on this side, if you're a lefty and you're holding it like this and it's just easier for you, sure, they've made it easy for you to be able to go and do that. Now, I didn't find out where that is, but they say in upcoming firmware updates, they're going to be adding more and more stuff like that. So also on this side here, we have micro SD card. I think the X5 has 2 micro SDs, but this one has 32 gigabytes of internal storage. So you have that, plus the SD card slot here that they say can do up to 128 gigabytes. I'm not sure why not more than that, but I only have a 128 gigabyte card here to test. So that's all I can try out, put it in there, it works just fine. On the top here we have line out, and that can be configured as SPDIF. Hey, that's pretty freaking cool. Or line out. So a portable device. Kind of hurts my head. On the bottom here on this one I have my headphone out, and then there's also a USB 2, it's micro USB for charging. One of the biggest bummers of this unit in my opinion, I'll go ahead and say that now while we're talking about that, is the fact that it did not come with USB 3. It came with USB 2, and the file transfers are pretty damn slow. Like kind of sadly, painfully slow. But once you get them on there, they're on there. And also, if you've got an SD card reader, I just transferred everything via that, and then everything's just fine. The weight on this is quite substantial. It's 220 grams. A lot for your pocket, but this is a device that you're going to carry with you in maybe your your messenger bag or your briefcase or your suitcase or your whatever. Maybe in your pocket if you want, but I would think this would be something you take with you in first class, business class. Just hang out and listen to some good music. Maybe you go and maybe you got your side room where you're going to sip some scotch or some whiskey and listen to this on the table instead of having to have your entire setup. You just put on your favorite set of headphones and then sit back and listen to this. Above and beyond all of that, this thing is made with a giant nice slab of aircraft grade aluminum. Let's talk about the hardware on the inside here. So we have the Rockchip RK3188, and that's probably the USB 2. I don't think that one does USB 3, but that is a really nice Cortex or A9, I believe it is, quad core. It's nice and snappy on this unit. 0 slowdowns that I could detect even with 4 or 5 apps running. It's only got 1 gigabyte of RAM, so you're not gonna be using this like an Android phone or something with 50 different apps, and you're not gonna be playing games on this. But you could if you wanted to. 3,500 milliamp hour battery on the back, and that's pretty much the entire back. Is this ginormous battery back here, and that's going to allow you to use this for about 10 hours. So it's not the industry leading like the Sony that can do like some ridiculous thing like 40 hours, but it has the ESS ES9018S DAC. Full implementation, 8 channels. You can bridge it 4 channels each. Like right now, that's pretty much like they say one of the kings when it comes to hi-fi DACs. And it's in the portable unit. That's the thing that kind of made my head hurt the most. Let's talk about something else, because I know some of you guys are going to be like, oh, well, that's Android, and that DAC can support 384 kilohertz and 64-bit playback. Well, Android can't do that. They've actually worked via the driver to make it work in Android, and I believe it's going to be coming in a firmware update. I'm not sure if it's built into this one as it is, but it's something promised. They say firmware update. But yes, this is going to work around the Android limitations for super high quality playback. Let's talk about all the formats supported. I'm just going to go through them real quick. DSD, DXD, PCM, that's for your lossless stuff. It supports FLAC as well when it comes to lossless. APE files are good. ALAC files, AIFF files, WMA files, MP3 files, Vorbasogs. I always have to say Vorbasog that way. That's just the way you say it. AAC files and all that sort of thing. Everything should work. And again, 394 kilohertz by 64-bit, all supported, no problemo. All right, now let's talk about the software that comes on here. I'm using an alternate launcher because the launcher that came with this had a tiny grid. It was just a very vanilla installation of Android 4.4.4. So if you're familiar with that version of Android, yeah, it's all there. You can even enable developer mode and play around with it. But I installed my own software on here, or my own launcher, the Nova launcher, so it's just much easier for me to deal with. And then let's go ahead and take a look at their music software. So their music software is specifically designed for this unit to take full advantage of all of the features herein. And it's actually a decent bit of software, possibly not as organized as something like PowerAmp, but it allows you to arrange things by song, by artist, by album, or by genre here. And you can go through and look at all your stuff. And then you can also just go in and add different folders and do all that. You can delete songs right in the program. So if you're in there and you're like, you know what? Every time I listen to this album, I hate this song. You can just swipe and delete the song. Delete folders. You can create your own lists. It also supports resuming, even if this is turned off. And then back on, it will resume your track. So that's pretty nice. Now you can have it show the album art. It supports the folder art or the just folder-based album art. ID3 tags, the VU meters. Oh, speaking of that, we also have a 10-band equalizer. There's 9 built-in EQs, and you can create your own EQs. And the other thing interesting about this is since it's Android, and since it has some pretty interesting hardware, you've got Bluetooth, and we also have Wi-Fi on this unit. And this will support a myriad of different Wi-Fi streaming options. And you can go to their store. They've actually got a little store. Download some different players. The Nova player's on there. Some of the other players are on there. But you can also download some streaming apps. DLNA works just fine with this. It'll work as a DLNA-enabled streaming device. That's pretty cool. It'll work with Dropbox. It'll work with your NAS if you want to. And there's going to be some updates with the FiiO app that you'll be able to stream with that. Who knows? The software on this is very new, and they mentioned that the software took almost as much, if not more, work than the hardware. And you can really tell they've done. I mean, in my opinion, they've done a really good job. But I kind of go back and forth between their music program and PowerAmp and some of the other ones. Now here's the interesting thing about this, and this is maybe a way that you guys could use this. Sometimes I like to listen to audiobooks, and yes, I know this is complete overkill for audiobooks that are usually like 32 kilohertz or something stupid like that, but listen, it's nice to have everything in one place on an SD card. So I'm listening to my music, and I want the highest quality possible, of course. So I listen to my music with this. It's crystal clear and clean. The audio's not colored, and I'm a happy person. But then I want to listen to my audiobook. I want to resume them on chapter 4. Well, I would have normally, if you're using the same audio program, you'd have to go back and find the chapter. Well, I just use PowerAmp for my audiobooks, and I've got the different folder set up for that. So I can go back and open up that app, and right there it is, waiting for me, and I can just resume. It's just a way that I use this device that I think maybe some of you guys would be like, oh, that's not a bad idea. I think a couple of my favorite features of this, other than the fact that it's Android and it has such high quality playback, are the fact that you can swap out the amp on the bottom, and I like the fact that you can get one that's balanced. That's really nice. But you can power just pretty much anything, or you can just go ampless if you like. The other thing that's pretty interesting with this is they have a dock. So if you want to just come in and plug it into the dock, and then the dock has headphones you can use or whatever, plug it up some speakers or something like that. But it's it's up to you as to whether or not you want that. All in all, this is the craziest digital audio player I've ever had in my hands, man. This thing it feels like quality. And I know FiiO is normally known for making some decent, well-made, low-price, DACs and amps and that sort of thing. This is not low price. It's serious. It's, it's man. I think the old, fourth gen iPods used to feel kind of like this, but this is light years ahead of something like that. And I love the fact that you have full control of your music. They've just enabled everything. This device really makes you the owner, and that's something I like. I guess my only main gripes about this are the USB speed, just a little bit too slow. Wanted this to be the end-all MP3 player, but the Bluetooth implementation is lacking. It does not sound nearly as good as my OnePlus 3, so I find myself using that in the car because I love all the Bluetooth functionality. You can use the auxiliary and get around this, but this product here came from a lot, listening to a lot of people in the forums and that sort of thing, and just finding out what they like. So maybe if you guys have some stuff you want to tell them, or some feedback for them, put it in our forum, and I'm sure when I send them a link to this review, I'll say, hey, check out the guys in our forum. They've got some ideas for some of your new products because they do listen. So that about covers it. This thing's crazy. It'll be in my backpack from now on. That's just the end of it, because it's freaking awesome. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the forum. Be sure to check out our Patreon. If you guys like the content, please support it. Keeps us alive. And I need to pay my Cadillac bill.